Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room live stream with myself, Dean, Paul, and Stu. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this Tuesday evening, Champions League night. For anybody that's also watching that as well, Arsenal are playing Madrid, and Arsenal are playing Madrid. No, that's in 2 weeks' time. Here's hoping. Arsenal playing Bayern Munich and Man City playing Real Madrid tonight. Both games on at the same time, so we'll see how that goes. Man City are without Kevin De Bruyne at the moment. He's apparently unwell, but everybody seems to start for Arsenal. So that's only positive for us considering the game that they have away at the weekend as well. But before we get into everything, please make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure that your notification bell is on for all future streams and videos. And just so you never miss out on any streams, we'll be live again tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. UK time for our pre-match stream with James and the boys for our Europa League clash on Thursday. There'll be no Star Stripes and Anfield Nights podcast live stream later this evening. Unfortunately, we've no host for that, so that one will be cancelled for this week, but we'll be back again next week at 2 a.m. GMT or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you have your notification bell on for all of that stuff so that you never miss out. But we will jump into the first bit of news, which is a bit of a, not so much a bombshell, maybe some of us expected it, but still fairly heavy news in that Luis Diaz may be off to PSG and off to France in the summer. Stu, I'll throw it over to yourself first. Just a bit of a reaction on the news itself. Would you be 75 million seems to be what we would value him at. Do you think that's a fair valuation, or would you be expecting more from a money bag club like PSG? Add a one to the front of it, I'm assuming.
To be honest, I'd be expecting more. I think 75 in as horrible as it is to say to me in this day and age, the football market, I think that is quite a low ball offer for somebody like Diaz, who this season, despite the issues that he's had obviously with his parents and that, he's still performed really, really well, especially over the last couple of months, and shown that sort of form that he brought along like straight away when we signed him. And I don't want to see him go personally. I think PSG are definitely lowballing on that, for me anyway.
No, to be lowballing it for me as well. I think we could very easily, especially with Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes at the helm, Paul. I realistically think we could get probably could get 100 million for him. Realistically, maybe not 100 million flat fee, but 100 million total deal altogether. He's a 27-year-old winger who is currently on 20 goal contributions this season, having coming off a serious injury and taking a small bit of time to kick into form, but realistically the form is there currently at the moment.
Well, I think 75 million is close to fair value for Lucho. To think we're going to get 100 million, 100 plus million, that's unrealistic. He's 27. So he has probably another couple of years left on his peak, yes. But most teams like to buy strikers when they are in 23, 24. And it's just beyond that. And plus, if you look at the other strikers that we are looking for to replace him with, let's talk about Nico Williams. Are we suggesting that Lucho is valued more than Nico? I don't think so. And this is not so much about skill set, but Nico would carry some additional pounds because of his age. So I think in any world, if we could sell Lucho and buy Nico Williams for a net positive, that would be a good deal. So if we're going to ask 100 million for Lucho, that means we're going to be willing to spend close to that for his placement. So I think 35, 80 million is fair. But as to selling Lucho, I'm one of those people who believe that it's more than just the clubs. It's also the player. If the player wants to leave, then I would try to facilitate the move. If he doesn't want to leave, then it's done. It's off. So it's more than just saying that PSG is offering 70, 75 million. There's a lot of factors that need to be taken into place. So for me, it's neither here nor there right now.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I completely agree with you. Like, if he doesn't want to go and he wants to stay and still contribute, which he can do at clearly a very high level, he's proven it this season as well. I don't see why we would entertain selling him, in my own personal opinion, unless the manager comes in and in first couple of training sessions over the first month or two just isn't able to extract what he wants out of him and would rather go and get somebody that he would prefer in his own profile. then that I can completely understand, and maybe it's just a clash of heads in that way. But as it stands at the moment, I don't think we should sell him myself. Marani's closet here mentions if a bid for 75 or 65 comes in, let him go. He's good, but he does not have consistent enough end product. Stadio would have been on 30 goals by now with the amount of chances we've created this season. And then he goes on to say he's like Hendo, bit of a harsh comparison there myself, I think, in that he plays his heart out, runs his socks off and leaves it all on the pitch, but he has clear limitations, and I don't think we can expect much more than what he's shown. He's just come off a knee injury. Jesus, give the man a bit of a break. And his dad was fucking kidnapped earlier on in the season, and he still has nearly 20 goal contributions. I think that's pretty okay.
Exactly.
Myself thinking that. Given the ups and downs, Dean, of this season that he's had currently at the moment, I mean, that's a bit of a harsh comparison to say that he's like Hendo. I understand that but like at least Luis Diaz's legs haven't gone. Is 75 million base value, a fair offer for in your mind? And would you entertain it if that was PSG on the phone calling you now?
I have to say I'm in agreement with Paul on this one. I think 75 million is fair. I know he's been, it's been an up and down time at Liverpool for, as the reasons you just explained, off the pitch stuff, and in his knee injuries have been quite substantial. But with you saying that 20 goal contributions is okay good enough? Yes, okay, you can say in the circumstances, I know what you're saying, but
yeah,
that okay could stop us winning the league. He had 2 or 3 massive chances against City. He's had other opportunities in major games and not taken them. If he had a slightly more clinical nature, a bit more like a Jota, we could be clear in the league. Like I say, it's all ifs and buts, small margins. But we bought him for what, 35 to 40 million pounds, something like that off Porto. If someone offers you 75 million flat out, you've near enough got double your money back for an older player who's got an uncertain future. It's not one of us. I won't say he's one of our stars either. I'd say he's one of the top players, but I don't think he's a vital player in our system. Not for me anyway. I think we could easily put Jota on there. You can even put Gakpo on there, and we're not going to be like, we miss Diaz desperately. It's not like losing Salah, Nunes, or McAllister. I think that's more of a blow. So if someone comes in with 70-odd million, and you can identify a replacement who's younger and will contribute more to the goals and assists, I think that's better for the club going forward. So if, let's say, he sticks around for another 2 years and he has another inconsistent 2 years for a knee injury or whatever, his form's not quite there. Does he adapt to the new system of the new manager as well? That's another question we have to think about. Yeah. We're not going to get that money again if that happens and he doesn't adapt. So it will be a decision that needs to be taken. And I do side with Paul. If someone offers 70 million, I do take him, even though I do like Diaz. I'm not trying to be too critical. But when you're at the top level, these are the decisions that need to be made. And they are the tough decisions. I don't see him being wanting a squad player. I can't see him being happy to sit on the bench, someone else to play there ahead of him. So if someone like a PSG comes in, just like say, offers the money. And another point, sorry, just to add to that, the market is different this summer. There's less money flying around. So 70 million is going to feel more than 70 million that it was last summer. 70 million was the 40 million of last summer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think if someone offers that, I think he goes. I do, just going off my gut instinct, I think he goes.
Yeah, and it's not out of any badness that he would go. It's like I personally think he needs a change of scenery myself. Yeah. I think he's gone through an awful lot here. He's gone through ups and downs, had a bit of a roller coaster over Spain. His parents, obviously, as well. I think he'd like to bring them over and have him live a little bit closer to them and have them in a Spanish-speaking country. And it's Paris is an awful lot closer to Spain than Liverpool is. And even if there was a Spanish team that came in from, I think he might be turned towards that, but purely on wanting a bit of a
I have a theory though, Stephen.
Yeah, go on.
I have a theory. I'm not 100% certain that Lucho really wants to leave. I think some of the noise being made by his camp has to do with money. And you could say it's fair. I think Lucho is on about 50K a week. And when you compare that to the more recent signings, are all a lot more. Gravenberch is twice that. He's at 150 a week. So, if you go to PSG, PSG pays very well. So a movement would mean a new contract with substantially more money. So I'm pretty sure if the club goes to Lucho and say, hey, we'll give you another year on your what's remaining on your contract, and we'll bump you from 50, 55, where you are right now, to 110, 120, to kind of more bring him in line with the other players. I'm pretty sure he would bite off their hands for that. So sometimes, I've been around football long enough. So a lot of times when you hear this noise, especially when they're coming from the agent or the family, it's because they are comparing what that particular player is earning, his value to the team, versus other players who they consider to be lesser in terms of ability, contribution, and making twice the amount. So sometimes it's stuff like that, and it could very well be that in this case.
Yeah, 100%. Like, he is coming up to a contract renewal. He's on £55,000 a year currently at the moment. A year, Jesus, I wish. £55,000 a week at the moment. If only, God, if only. £55,000 a week at the moment, and just, I think it could be just very easily transfer talk. Just give me a new deal or buy. Jen, just want to say thank you very much for the £2.99. Very much appreciate your super sticker, as always. Funding the summer transfer window, following the funding of the winter transfer window, where we didn't spend anything. So the kitty's going to be very big this summer. So can't wait for that. But it's an interesting one, because for me, I don't want him to go, but I'd understand if he did, and I'd understand if he wanted a new challenge, a new clean slate. Like, he's been through an awful lot the past 12 months. Realistically, I wouldn't hold it against him, being perfectly honest.
Not like when Mane left.
No, not at all.
That felt different, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, sort of with Diaz, like, sort of it wouldn't quite have that same feeling.
Yeah,
I don't quite know why, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think the money is a big part, though. I just feel like 55K a week versus, everybody else and their brother earning 120, 150. It's tough.
Yeah, like, it's as Hellier mentions here, he's still 3 years left in the contract. Base value of £75 million, not euro, thankfully. You will have a hard time getting him for that price. PSG is one of the very few teams left that can afford him at that price, and will need him at that price, considering Mbappe is on the first flight out of there come June 1st. So yeah, that is as well. And the Mbappe domino, I think, is going to affect an awful lot of things this summer. It's going to affect an awful lot of player sales and an awful lot of funding that's going to be needed. And you can demand a top left winger. Rafael Leao is not going to be one that we will ever touch, unfortunately. As great of a talent as he is, and I do not doubt him for 1 second, his release clause is €150 million. And if you think we're going to edge anywhere close to that for that kid, you're in dreamland. Unfortunately, he'll go to somewhere like Real Madrid or Barcelona or something like that. He won't go to us. And I know you might laugh at the fact of me saying Barcelona, but could very easily happen if they all of a sudden find a box of money underneath one of the seats that they're trying to sell from the old stadium. But the other one person that would actually be quite a nice fit at the moment, that I think would be a nice fit, is a youngster from Athletic Bilbao, which is Nico Williams, who is a 21-year-old right-footed left winger who has played both left wing and right wing. Currently in La Liga right now at the moment, he has 6 goals and 14 assists. So he's very much a playmaker, very much loves to get everybody else involved. And that is obviously seen through the core numbers of it. But he is one of them that could be very readily available and very easily available, because we could circumvent everything just by paying a £55 million release clause. Now, we were talking about the value of Luis Diaz at £75 million of a base value. Stu, I'll start with yourself again. Is Nico Williams worth £55 million in a release clause, or do you think it could be negotiated lower than that?
I think in this current market, I think that's actually probably a fair price. Did you say he's 21?
21.
It's a big investment, but he is a pretty talented player. And I think Bilbao done their work, like sort of their homework on the contract when they got him to sign it. Bringing in $55 million for him, I think, is more than fair for him as a long-term investment, which he will be. He could get him in, and he's only going to get better and better. And I think he will surpass the likes of Diaz, Gakpo, and Jota on that side. He has got that amount of talent in him. So, yeah, I think as a long-term investment, 55, I think is pretty fair, considering actually some release clauses in Spain are astronomically stupid. And I think 55 from a Spanish team, that's pretty fair, actually.
Exactly. Consider, I think it's Jude Bellingham's is $1 billion, and I think it's actually a legal requirement that they have to have a release clause in their contracts over there. So that's why they put them at astronomical ones. Never give up. You mentioned here what makes you think we need to pay that in reference to Rafael Leao's release clause of €150 million. Italian clubs are broke. They 100% are broke. But if you think Liverpool are going to pay €150 million or anywhere close to what they would demand, when they know for a fact somebody like a Man City, somebody like a Real Madrid, somebody like a PSG could very easily come in, or even a Man United could very easily come in and pay €100 million straight away, they'll take a €50 million hit on that, no problem. Liverpool won't pay over €100 million for somebody of that age, of that ilk. He's a talent, don't get me wrong, but we're discussing here Nico Williams for £55 million, and if that's a fair bargain for a release clause, Liverpool don't spend that much money on somebody like that. They'd spend it on a proven player like a Van Dijk, like an Alisson. That's who they'd spend bigger money on like that. I don't see them spending that much money myself. But Dean, feel free to disagree with me. Italian clubs are broke. They do require money. And yeah, we said that about Caicedo too, but Caicedo's Prem. He's in the Prem. He was in the Premier League for a year. Fair enough, he went to Chelsea and just shat the bed. But realistically, he has experience in the Premier League. Showed he can play in the Premier League and play very well in the Premier League. It just so happens that we got the better midfielder in McAllister that made him look so good as he did. So if we ended up getting the two of them from Brighton, that would have been utterly hilarious, because we would have just had Brighton's midfield and it would have kept playing even at a higher level than they were then. But Dean, Italian clubs are broke. They'd take less than the release clause. I'm sure they would, but do you see Liverpool forking out 100 million near base salary for somebody like Rafael Leao? Like, to me, I don't believe it'll near happen.
Unfortunately not. You know, we'd all kill for someone like that on the team. It would suit us down to the ground, but Liverpool don't make star signings. We make our own stars, if that makes sense. You know, all our transfers are investments. As a lot of fans don't like to look at it that way. We like to look at it as a footballing perspective, and that's that. But unfortunately, the owners and the way the clubs run it is a business. So anyone we buy is basically a view of how long they're going to be in the team for. And if they stay on for 10 years, you've got your investment back. As long as they stay at the top level, it's fine. Or if not, do you improve them, then sell them on for a profit? That's just how football is. That's how it should be run to a point anyway, because that's how clubs make money and stay at the top. So in regards to Nico Williams, that makes sense, because 50 million, even if it's 50 million in the end, he's 21, you could get 10 years at the top level, if not a bit more. Worst case scenario, you probably get 3 or 4 years out of him, you're probably going to sell him for more, going with inflation and obviously how he improves in general. So it is the wiser investments. Leao would demand mega wages, and rightfully so, because he's one of the hottest prospects in the world. He's already playing at a high level. So it makes no sense from a business point of view, unfortunately, even though from a footballing point of view, it would be amazing. But in regards to Nico Williams, it helps that he can play both sides. I don't think Leao could play right wing. Not sure on that, though. I think he's always played on the left, as far as I know. It's Williams has played both sides.
Nico's played both. Nico's played both. Rafael Leao has only played on the left wing.
And with you saying he's got 14 assists, that means he's a creator. And if we do get Amorim in, and the left wing spot is the creator spot, it's about pulling defenders in and allowing space for the two other forwards to just finish chances and cause chaos. So going on that, Williams makes a lot of sense. That's the one part I think Diaz would struggle with. His final product in terms of assists is also very inconsistent. I think he's very, very good on the ball, but lacks a killer pass for me. And I think Williams does have a killer pass in him. Like, say, 14 assists, playing for a decent side in La Liga, not one of the best ones, but playing for a decent side. But he's playing at one of the highest levels already. That's very promising, and in my eyes, that's a really good investment.
Yeah, in the comparison, Paul, between Rafael Leao and Nico Williams, just seeing as it's been thrown in here, and we just mentioned and as never give up mentions here. He's not saying that we could, but would you not demand a signing like that instead of some youngster like Williams? I demand a signing that myself, and Paul, feel free to disagree with me. I prefer profile over player. I'd rather we purchase the right profile for the right price than a big signing player that may not fit into it. And maybe Rafael Leao does fit into it, but maybe Nico Williams does as well. And if you can get the same profile for a third of the price, I think that's an awful lot better business. The former attitude of buying the bigger player and spending the money on it has kind of utterly sunk Man United, Chelsea, and Newcastle and Everton and Nottingham Forest as it is at the moment. Like, they're teams now that are up the shit in debt right now. United are £750 million in debt, and that interest is only getting more and more, and they only seem to be paying off the interest and keeping that level. But Paul, with Rafael Leao and Nico Williams, Rafael Leao in Serie A and all of his competitions currently at the moment has 12 goals and 12 assists. 6 goals and 9 assists in Serie A, 1 goal in the Champions League, 3 and 3 in Europa League, and 2 in the Italian Cup. And then when you get over to Nico Williams, who has no European football whatsoever, has 3 goals and 9 assists in La Liga, and in Copa del Rey, he has 3 goals and 5 assists. So just based on that alone, it seems to be a very similar stat line for Nico Williams with much less games. So based on that, just based on the core numbers, rather than looking into it in much deeper dive, and we know we say stats aren't everything, but profile seems to be similar. You need somebody who's a creator, as Dean mentioned. If you can get a similar profile for less money in Nico Williams, surely that would be a no-brainer than spending 100 million on Rafael Leao, regardless of the talent that may be there, if they fit the profile.
Any measurement you use, Nico Williams is a better option. First of all, Rafael Leao is just, as far as I can tell, he's just a left winger. He's very good, but he's just a left winger. And I think we are not short on that side of the pitch. Whilst Nico Williams is more versatile, he can play on both sides. Secondly, Nico Williams is a third of the price. You're talking about 50 million versus 150, and he's also a couple years younger. Even before you compare Nico with Rafael, if we could actually get 75 million pounds tomorrow for Lucho, and then can trigger the release clause for Nico for 55 million euros, I would do it in a heartbeat, right? Because that would give you another 25 million pounds you can use somewhere else to strengthen the team. So I don't think we should even consider Rafael Leao, because yes, you may say clubs are broke in that side of the world, but if the unlikely event we have managed to negotiate down the release clause from, say, 150 to a more bearable, say, 100 million, there are other clubs, even in the Premier League, that would just go in and say, okay, we'll pay that, right? And we're not going to enter into a bidding war for any player. So if we could get the fee down to what is palatable, we wouldn't get him. So I don't think we should even waste any more time talking about Rafael Leao, because that his price is just astronomical, and I don't really see him as a game changer. You know, he's a good player, but he's not a game changer. And the Premier League is something that a lot of good players come to the Premier League and just look ordinary. You know, I desperately wanted us to sign Guardiola last season to play centre back for us. Man City paid almost a record 85 million pounds for him, and have him playing left back, and to be honest, he looked ordinary to me. You know, so if you spend 35 million on a player like Gravenberch and he's ordinary, you can live with that. You know, he's a squad player. But if you're gonna spend 100 plus on a player, he has to work, especially when you can get a guy like Nico for a third of the price. So I think it's just a no-brainer. Actually, I would trigger that 55 million or 50 million pounds and get Nico Williams, because it's an investment.
It is 100%. Like a 21-year-old left winger that has 20 goal contributions in a top 5 league, albeit like, if you consider what he's doing with Atletico Bilbao and how he's creating for them, imagine putting Darwin Núñez and Mohamed Salah to his right. immediately those numbers start skyrocketing. And as Dean mentioned, if it is Rúben Amorim that does come in, that left winger position is seen as more of a creator than an attacker, which is why I think Dominic Szoboszlai would be a great role for that. We'll get on to Amorim now, actually, and how he may look with Liverpool and how Liverpool may look with him. But before we do get into that, please make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure your notification bell is on for all future streams and videos so that you never miss out. We will be back again tomorrow for our pre-game stream from 7:30 UK time. And the stream later on this evening, unfortunately, won't be going ahead for Star Stripes and Anfield Nights. Just we don't have a host for that, unfortunately. But on to Rúben Amorim. And myself, Paul and Dean, and I think, and maybe I don't know if Stu was in that as well, we had a great debate earlier on today in relation to how we would set up. Myself and Paul had a back and forth over the back line. Paul thought it was very defensive how the setup was, and we had a great debate back and forth, and Dean was agreeing with me and disagreeing with me, and we had a fantastic debate on it. So we'll get into it now and share it with you guys as well. So I'll give my starting lineup that I gave to the lads, and obviously we can have the rebuttals back and forth over what we think. So my starting lineup that would have been for if Rúben Amorim was to come in would have been Alisson in goal, and then our back three would have been Joe Gomez on the left-hand side, Virgil van Dijk in the middle, and then Ibrahima Konate on the right-hand side. Now, this is just with Liverpool players that we have in the squad currently at the moment. This is not including any signings that we may make. If we get a left-footed centre-back for the left centre-back role, Paul is obviously in love with his left footers for that side and he wants more in the team, and I 100% agree with him. You need a left footer for that particular side, especially in a back three. But for argument's sake, we're putting Joe Gomez there at the moment. Our midfield four would be Andy Robertson on the left-hand side, Wataru Endo and McAllister in the middle of the four, and then Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right, and then a front three of Dominic Szoboszlai on the left wing, Darwin Núñez in the middle, and Mohamed Salah on the right wing. Now, my reasoning for those particular positions is with Rúben Amorim, the left wing back or left midfielder is the one that goes up and down the pitch. I believe it was either you, Dean, or it may have been Dan that was mentioning, the other host that was mentioning in the chat, that Trent may not be able to run up and down that wing consistently, and Bradley might be a better shout for this particular system. But the left wing back or left midfielder is the person that does the running up and down the pitch, which could be better suited for a Gomez, could be better suited for a Tsimikas, could be better suited for an Owen Beck if he is to come back in, or a left midfielder like a Luis Diaz that would be better in that situation. The two central midfielders, and never go up. You mentioned that Endo isn't suited to this system. He is 100% suited to this system. The two central midfielders are not your traditional double pivot. And Paul and myself had a back and forth about this. It's not a traditional double pivot in the Amorim system. There's one defensive midfielder and there's another midfielder that is like free roam and goes everywhere and moves everywhere and creates everywhere. Endo is your CDM. McAllister is your central midfielder that goes everywhere and has a free roam everywhere. That's his role. That's the roles that they play in the Amorim 3-4-3. And then on the right-hand side, you have a Trent Alexander-Arnold who can also fill in there beside Endo if needs be, move up and push very advanced up the pitch, and just swing balls in like he did when we had Mane, Salah and Firmino, and that's what his role at the time, and his assists went through the roof, and they will again. And then our front three is a creator in Dom on the left-hand side, a striker in Núñez up the front, and Salah on the right-hand side. And you say Salah has to go, and I say to that, no. Very simply, no. He doesn't have to go. I think this system will actually put years on his career, because Salah likes getting into the half space between the left back and the centre back, and this system allows him to do that and allows him to push over more centrally, and will give Darwin Núñez an awful lot more space to operate in the middle, because the two of them kind of seem to be clogging each other's lanes currently at the moment, and that may lead to some frustration with the finishing and whatnot, which has led us to drop some points here and there. But the system that we currently have, that Amorim currently has at the moment, scores the most goals per game in any of the top 5 leagues in Europe, and also concedes the least amount of goals currently in any of the top 5 leagues in Europe. So he's a better defense than Arsenal currently at the minute, if you would believe that. But that's my reasoning behind the 11. Paul, you don't agree with me on some of those positions, such as the midfield of Endo and McAllister, and you feel that the double pivot may not work with a back three, and you feel that Endo may be a little bit lost with a back three and is probably better with a back four. elaborate on that a little bit and how you think that lineup should be different in your own eyes with our current setup.
Okay, so in Klopp's system, which is what we have now, Endo is perfect for that system because Endo right now just sits just in front of Van Dijk and kind of win the ball, protect the back four, win the ball, and then give the ball to the better players, right? That's his role, which is perfect for that. If we're going to switch to a back three or the way Amorim play, we are switching more to a possession-based setup rather than a counter-attacking style that we currently have, right? So whilst I don't think Trent, like in our system now, can actually play as a lone CDM, which Endo obviously can, right? If we switch to a back three with Verge in the middle, then if you put Trent as a lone CDM, which I'm not saying we should do that, but follow me. If you put Trent as a lone CDM with Verge right there, that is a much safer system because then we have two other defenders, in and about the box, two other centre backs. If we're going to play with three centre backs, and then you have your two wing backs, and then you still have a deep line CDM, which is Endo, to me that is too defensive, right? In that system, we need better midfielders who can pass the ball because we have the back three to cover. Even though Verd will step into the middle when he has to. So this is where McAllister and Trent would work. So I'm not so sure I want to see Trent as a traditional wing back because Trent beside Maka with Verge right there, in that midfield would be key. Then Maka could be the one who roam kind of the box-to-box guy, would be more forward of the two. And then you could have your whether you want a Robbo on the left or whoever on the right-hand side. But I don't think Endo would flourish in that system. I think we have better options because we're going to be controlling the game with that setup rather than sitting back and wait for that quick counter attack. So, I'm not saying that we should get rid of Endo by any means. But in the system that we're talking about, we're going to play three at the back. I don't think there's a need to have a player like Endo just sitting in front of Van Dijk. I don't think it's necessary.
Fair enough. I don't disagree with you, but I think the thing about it is Trent isn't going to be a traditional wing back in the sense with Amorim. Like he stays hilariously advanced, and it's the left wing back that does the tracing up and down. But that's why I think it'll be fine. Jesus, Bernardo Silva after fucking scoring. Fuck me.
City score already?
Yeah, 90 seconds into the game.
Oh,
fuck
I'm watching the Arsenal game.
So am I. That's what I'm watching at the minute, just to laugh at them at the moment. And they scored without De Bruyne as well. It's very early. I can see Madrid coming back and getting a goal there again easily. Stu, given what we've discussed so far and how we see the differentiations of how the lineup may kick in, how do you see it yourself? Like, how would you see Amorim's 11 and who would be the profiles that you'd place into that 3-4-3?
To be honest, I can see arguments for both your picks. I do like the fact that in this formation type, you can play it defensive or you can play it a little bit more attacking. Having a back three, Van Dijk in the centre, I think you put him in the centre of that back three, it'll prolong his career a little bit as well because of his age. He could drop back as just that, instead of that ball playing centre back, just drop back as more of like a sweeper, old school sweeper sort of thing. I would probably have Konate and Kwanzaa over Gomez in the back three.
Agree.
Then I think the left wing back slot is open for me at the moment. I'll come back to that one in a second because that's a tough one. Obviously, the right wing back or the right midfield, that's going to be Trent's slot all day long. I've said it before on previous streams that I would rather see Trent as a central midfielder. But I think the versatility that he's got in his game now to play as a central midfielder or as a right back or a full back or a wing back will allow Amorim to adapt the system around him. So one game he'll play him as a central midfielder, next he'll play him out on the right-hand side, or he may swap him over for Bradley when he deems that there's a need for more pace in the game. So I think that's how it will work, but we'll see on that one. McAllister, obviously, absolutely amazing central midfielder, having the season of a lifetime, especially the last few games, goes straight into that central midfield slot. And I think alongside him, it would be Zobo, and I would have Jota playing up with Salah and Nunes instead. I think Jota playing out on that left side, but swinging in centrally behind the two strikers.
Yeah, I can see that. Jota is a bit of a... See, I think Jota will be more... In that particular formation, it's either Nunes or Jota up front, because they're your poachers, they're your strikers, they're your goal getters. And if you have somebody firing in for... like somebody facilitating either side, I think Jota getting on the ball and just how adaptable he is to getting a goal, I think it'd work better up the middle than out in the left. I think you actually hinder him out in the left myself, but I do see where you're coming from with that point as well. Dean, myself and yourself agree on some parts of this. Obviously, myself and Paul differ on the central defensive midfielder side of it, and there's a few in the comments that do as well. But what would you change? Is there anything from that you'd change from Paul's points, from Stu's points, from my own points? Give me how your 11 under Amorim would fill out and the profiles that would fit into each position.
I think your defence is pretty much nailed on, isn't it? You Alisson, Virgin in the middle, Canate on the right. Question of Kwanzaa or Gomez on that left side. I think they're pretty much even for a left side centre back for me. They're both decent enough on the ball.
Yeah.
The midfield's the question. Robertson on the left, Trent on the right, that's easy. With McAllister on that left side centre mid spot. The right DM, I think it's going to be horses for courses, because Amorim likes to be a horses for courses guy, depending on his opposition. Yeah. I think certain games require an endo. So when you're away to a Man City, an Arsenal, you like that additional defensive stability. But I think when you're home to like a Palace or something like that, a Bajcetic in that right-hand side, someone who can get the ball and turn and push it forward would be ideal when he's fully fit, obviously. I think that'd be a good one. Szoboszlai will be on that left side. I think that left side suits him down to the ground, personally. And then it's Salah and Nunes for me. Like I say, with that right-hand side, it's all about the half spaces, being intricate, and obviously get involved in a lot of the goals. But it also requires you to drag defenders out, like the left-sided spot, but you go a bit more deeper. They drag them out deeper. It allows the forward to run into the space. So Salah does do that very well. He holds it off his man very well, but Jota could also do that role very well as well. But out of the two, you're going to choose Salah just for the pure fact it's Salah. But it's like I say, there's a lot of good options there. The only concern I have is that other the left-sided role, other than Szoboszlai, I don't know who my second choice would be. And there's also question marks over a couple of lads like Curtis Jones. I'm not sure where he would play. I'm not saying get rid of him before anyone jumps down my throat. But I don't know if he would play on that left side where Szoboszlai plays, or would he play in the McAllister role? I'm not entirely sure, because McAllister literally fits that position so well. Because he's not an 8, he's not a 10, and he's not a 6. He's a bit of all three.
He's everything, yeah.
So I think that will suit him, and I'm not sure Jones would suit that left-sided role, so that left centre mid role as well. But we don't know until they actually see it in action. But there's a lot of options there, and I do think a lot of these players would suit it. It will be an adjustment, of course it will, but I think this formation brings out a lot of the best qualities these players have. Like I say, Van Dijk in that centre-back role, as Stu has already said, it will prolong his career. He utilises the long balls so well at the moment, and they're going to get even better. I reckon so anyway. And then Salah, like I say, he won't have to bombard down that right-hand side anymore. He can be a bit more central and be a bit more intricate. And going on what the striker role has done for, is it I can't remember. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Gyökeres.
Yeah.
What, he's got 30 odd goals. I know it's in Portugal. I know you could argue that, but he's got lesser players around him. What the numbers he could, output in this system could be quite terrifying for other teams.
And that new offside rule, if that comes in, he's winning the Ballon d'Or and he's scoring 50 in a season. I'm calling it now.
It's fair.
Something that I seen come up here, just when we were on about how it's missed how Sporting are one of the best pressing teams in the league, and how Salah and Darwin can't press. I'm sorry, did you not see Darwin's goal the other night? That's that quite literally debunks the whole argument there. I mean, look,
Arsenal
Salah's
scored.
on the, oh, fuck you anyway, Paul. I'm like 30 seconds behind you. I hope Real Madrid and Arsenal win. I hope they win. I hope they have to put out their strongest sides midweek for 4 weeks in a row, because that'll only benefit us, because Saka's after getting a queer belt in the back of his shin. That's a great goal by Saka too. I'm just after seeing it. I'm not going to lie. Great goal. But it's one of them that's just like... And... Which one are you on about? Because everybody did press against United. It just was a bad day at the office, and it's just United. Like it is one of, like, look, if you don't think Salah and Darwin press, that's fine, no problem. No problem with that whatsoever. But they do. Who's not suited for the press? I genuinely want to know this. Who's not suited for the press? Because if you say it's Darwin Núñez, I can't deal with that myself. If it's Mo Salah, I can have a little bit of truck with that, because obviously he's in his 30s and his job isn't necessarily to press as much. Oh no, we're not having that. We're not having Darwin not pressing. He run.
Oh
no, we're not having Darwin not pressing.
That's not true.
Darwin presses as much as anybody on that pitch. He picks the ball up at the centre back position in situations, and he closes down centre backs left, right, and centre, and got a goal from closing down the keeper. He scored with his dick, for lack of a better term. So, like, I'm not like, see the difference when Jota starts the next game. He won't start because Darwin has nearly 40 goal contributions this season. He's not starting. If you don't think Darwin Núñez is pressing,
come on, Steve. This guy just winding you up.
He's annoying me now. But look, Real Madrid just equalised Camavinga. I didn't know they were playing Bayern Munich. Helior.
It's the final already somehow.
Oh, I'm just watching the Arsenal game.
Yeah, I'm watching the Arsenal game as well. David mentions here. Hi, Stephen, Dean, Paul, and Stu. The papers are saying that we've got Rúben Amorim, and Sky Sports said no formal deal has been done, and they're looking at other candidates. Who will we get? Well, there's been conflicting reports this morning. First of all, Florian Plettenberg came out and said that we had a 3-year deal in place and it had been accepted. Sky Sports were then regurgitating that because he's part of Sky Sports Germany, so Sky Sports in England regurgitated that, and Sky Sports Germany regurgitated that, but then sources that came out from Portugal indicated that no deal had been met yet. So because of that, we don't know yet. Our own personal opinion, and I think I can sort of speak for everyone on this, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, is because he's in a title fight and in a cup fight, they're not going to admit anything at this very moment.
Agree. Yep.
Something may be agreed behind closed doors, but there will not be a formal announcement until June 1st, and you can bet money on that. Unless they have the league sealed mid-May, similarly to how Alonso nearly has the league sealed in a week's time. If they have the league sealed with time to spare and they have the cup won with time to spare, it may be announced a week or two after that, but I don't see anybody else. Oh my God, Real Madrid are 2-1 up.
Lovely.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rodrigo, the man that we could have got for £3 million, and that nearly made me cry when I seen that. That absolutely made me cry. £3 million.
Devastating.
I'm watching the wrong game.
Really are. To be fair, look, we'll stick on this game, Paul, and we'll let everybody know about how boring this game is, because the Arsenal just seem all over Bayern. I hope Arsenal go through. Yes, unfortunately, the manager saga goes on. It will be going on all the way on until the end of the season. But we'll move off the manager saga and what we possibly may look like in a couple of weeks' time. And we look at how we're going to look in a week's time, because Trent Alexander-Arnold, Alisson Becker, Diogo Jota, and Stefan Bajcetic are all back in full training today, which is a hilarious stat to look at. Now, There was a tweet that I seen earlier that their expected return time for Alisson, Jota, and Trent was April 18th, which is enough time for the Atalanta away game, which will be next week. How did Arsenal not go 2-0 up there? Genuinely, did Ben Off-White was basically 6 yards away from Manuel Neuer and just kicked it straight at him.
Straight into his gut.
Straight into his stomach, like. But
it's like a back pass.
That's all it was. Like, there's a reason you were a right back, mate, and that's why. Trent would never. He'd slot that. But with these new guys coming back in, this seems to be the perfect time for reinforcements to hit us. Just as we're kind of maybe a little bit ropey, maybe a little bit off kilter at the moment, not finishing stuff, not getting creative chances that we normally would get with a Trent, a Jota, and what have you that way, and maybe some security at the back four with an Alisson. Maybe the line could move up a little bit higher with him there than they would with Kelleher. Not that Kelleher hasn't done a good job. He's been one of the players of the season, in my own opinion. But with the reinforcements that are coming in, Dean, realistically at the moment, this is quite literally the perfect opportunity for them to come in right now and for us to make a run for the last 11 games of the season. This is a brilliant time for them to be coming back in right at the money end of the season, right when we can really make a dent. And we've played, on paper, our hardest fixtures.
Yeah, exactly. Simple as that. Well, 3 out of the 4 are crucial players, aren't they? Simple as that, with Alisson, Trent and Jota. I think when we have that run of 4, potentially 5 away games in a row, they're going to be absolutely massive for that. I think we'll be all right for the Palace game, and then the first Atalanta game, we're both at home. I think we should be fine.
1-1.
Oh,
Lovely.
Beautiful. Paul, you've made my day. You're 30 seconds ahead of me. I love it.
Sorry, Dean.
You're all right, no worries. Very good news. That's fine. But yeah.
What is Raya doing out there? Oh my God. I'm looking at this out at the halfway line.
I mean, on Soccer Saturday.
Oh, what a beautiful pass. And then another one. Oh, Raya, you were left flat-footed. That's beautiful. Gnabry with a brilliant goal. Bayern with a fantastic goal. Sorry, Dean. Please continue. We've just interrupted you with amazing news.
But yeah, when we get to them crucial away games, we saw in the last few games that we've been missing clinical chances, them big chances. Jota will be perfect for that. Having Trent back for that bit more creativity on that right-hand side. As much as Gomez and Bradley have done a really good job there. Alisson, I've always been saying for the last few weeks, especially, to have him back for them big away games will be huge. Remember, a good few months ago, Stephen, we had this where Alisson was just coming back from an injury and we had Palace away, and you were like, no, I'd start Kelleher. And I was like, no, I'd start Alisson. We need him. And how vital he was in that game. The 2 big saves he made, it got us the 3 points. Not saying Kelleher wouldn't have made them.
But then he got injured again.
And then he did get injured again. But still. But yeah, to have them guys back, the crucial to how we play. And we haven't played with our best 11 for a good few months because of these injuries. It's remarkable how we still are in the position where we are in. Yes, we're not top currently. We might as well be joint top, but we're not top at the moment. To have these coming back will give everybody inside the club a major boost, as well as us. So it's only good news.
It is fantastic news. Realistically, like, more depth coming back is all that we could want right now at the moment, because then that gives the likes of Joe Gomez a break, it gives Andy Robson a break, Kostas Tsimikas gets to come back in and get a run, Connor Bradley gets a break, Alexi McAllister gets a break, everybody gets a break, and everybody has fresh legs. And by God, this could be the winning of our season, realistically. But it won't. The Amorim saga won't come to an end until the end of the season. We won't have a manager named until June 1st. You can just put money on that. And something that Hellier mentions here, and something that we discussed on a different stream last week, Liverpool possibly looking at the sporting science and sporting recovery head that's with Sporting at the moment, along with Amorim. He used to work with Liverpool, and then when he left, our injuries skyrocketed, and Sporting have had the least injuries that I've ever seen them have in a long time. And our current head of fitness and conditioning is leaving. So it's a very easy job for Edwards if he wants to go and just be like, do you want to come follow your manager? Come on, come back. Because realistically, we could really do with it. And I know we were mentioning earlier about stuff with players in rotation, the likes of Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, Fabio Carvalho, and some other players that may be left out. But we could be, the way to look at it with Liverpool is you could be playing 60 plus games in a season in 4 different competitions, especially with a Champions League next season. We will have heavy rotation, and depth is never a bad thing. I do not think we should sell anybody. I think we should actually just go and buy people next season, outside of maybe selling somebody, one player. I think maybe a Diaz goes, or it's one of them. And Hellier, I rate Kelleher a 10 out of 10. And that's because I'm 100% biased. And I'm sure everybody will agree with me on that one. I'm not biased at all. And Who Knew 22 mentions, how can we buy in players if the manager saga is not resolved? Because people are working behind closed doors. They're aware of the managers and they're aware of what type of style that they would have, and they can have a roster for each individual manager. It's very easily done. It's not going to... It's as you said here, as Never Give Up mentions here, the club will know the manager sooner than we will. It just won't be formally announced until the end of the season. And by proxy then, Who Knew 22, it'll basically mean that the manager will be like, I want X, Y, and Z profile. Go find me shortlists. We'll go from there. That's essentially how it's going to work. But Paul, and I'm going to throw it over to you before I throw it over to Stu to finish off the stream, is these reinforcements are crucial. This time of the year, 7 games left in the Premier League, 5 potential games left in Europa League. We're now back at full strength outside of Matip and Thiago currently at the moment. With these guys coming back, it's the perfect time for us, realistically.
It's perfect. And, after Sunday, I was a little bit down immediately after the game. But now, it's not all doom and gloom, because a couple of things. One, Arsenal is where we want them. Because last year has proven that there are some teams that cannot handle the pressure when they are out front, right? And now that they are leading the table, the pressure will be more on them. So we are getting back our top players. So I don't see Arsenal winning every game going forward. They're going to drop points. And I think we have the potential of winning all the remaining games, especially we sorely miss Jota, we miss Trent, Alisson. Because even though Kelleher has made all the saves that he is expected to make, Alisson will give you a couple of saves that he is not expected to make. And sometimes that is the difference, So it's huge to have Alisson back there. And plus, it also sometimes affects how the back 4 plays, when Alisson back there. So it's all good news. I think we have a very good chance of running the table. And if we do that, we will definitely win a trophy, because there's no way Arsenal, this team I'm watching here now, is going to run the table, right? But another topic too, we're talking about this guy that's this fitness guy.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the possession-based style that Amorim plays versus the counter-attacking, fast, high pressing that we play contribute to our injuries.
Oh, 100%.
So, with Amorim's style, we should not have this raft of injuries that we are having this year. Is that a factor? It
is, of course, a factor, because we run so much, we press hard, we're consistently pressing all the time. With Amorim, if you let the ball do the work,
like City.
Similarly to Man City, how they just seem to be made of stone and very rarely get injured outside of De Bruyne this season. It's a very similar style like that, and it's just, while people argue it's unsustainable, it is to a degree. Like, our style of football is unsustainable to a degree. It's a next man up attitude, but eventually you're not going to have a next man up. And I can just count our lucky stars that we've been able to find a lot of youngsters this season that have really stepped up massively. Kwanzaa and Bradley were playing in League One last season with Bolton and Bristol Rovers and Bolton Wanderers respectively. And now they've made a jump to the Premier League and have replaced in some instances Van Dijk for Kwanzaa, and in a lot of instances Trent Alexander-Arnold for Conor Bradley. You could not have asked more of them this season. If anything, they've exceeded expectations, and I think that they'll have fantastic careers with Liverpool. Stu, as well with yourself, with how everything has gone so far this season. We've not had Andy Robertson for 3 months. Mo Salah didn't really make a start until nearly March, 2 months out following his last start on New Year's Day. Didn't start nearly till February then. Trent has been out for a number of weeks. We've had Tsimikas dislocate his shoulder, was out for a while. We had Matip rupture an ACL. He's gone for the year. Thiago, less said about him, the better, with his glorious 11 minutes and a 3-1 loss against Arsenal at garbage time. Curtis Jones getting suspended, and then his injury and being sidelined for a while. Darwin Núñez being sidelined for a while. Dominic Szoboszlai being sidelined for a while. Like, the list, we could have had a starting 11 out of our injuries, including Alisson as well being out for a number of months, even though he came back, played great, and then got injured again, and now has been out. And Kelleher has really stepped up, and without him, I don't think we win that Carabao Cup. If we had to start somebody like Adrian in goal, I shudder to think about that thought. But Stu, this has been a ridiculous season so far. First of all, in injuries, and second of all, in how all of these youngsters have stepped up, and now we're getting back to full strength. As Paul said, do you think that we could run the table and win everything from now to the end of the season?
Yeah, I think we can. Obviously, the two main fixtures out of the rest of the list, especially for the league, is Spurs and Villa. Those two are those critical games. It's amazing, actually, that both those two teams have got such a say in what happens in the
West Ham. What about West Ham too?
West Ham too as well, yeah.
So there's a couple of teams there that are going to change the destinies of all three teams in this competition as we go into that final straight. But yeah, I mean, getting Trent, Jota, and Alisson back, a huge boost morale-wise for the squad. Keep him fit until the end of the season. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't go on and win this league title, especially with the talent we got coming back. It has been missed over the last few games. The indecisiveness and the inconsistency and not scoring, perhaps not creating that quite clear-cut enough chance. Somebody like Trent can do that, and he's a guy who can change the game. We all know that. We've seen him do it plenty of times before.
We've seen him do it against Fulham.
Exactly. So, I think it is bang on the right time. There's 11 games left in the season. Is it 11 games in total? Is that right?
There's 11. So there's 12 games in total. We have 7 in the Premier League and a potential 5 in the Europa League. So we have the 2 quarterfinals, 2 semi-finals, and then the final in Dublin, which I am lighting candles, saying prayers and everything that I may get to go to that game. If I do get to go to that game, I don't think I'd die a happy man the day after, to be perfectly honest.
You're going to have to get tickets quick, because I just saw the allocation article.
I've entered about 7 different lotteries in 12 different competitions, and I have connections that will be able to get box seats in the Aviva Stadium through extended family and family members that are in head advertising jobs for the likes of Guinness and stuff like that may be able to get that. Oh my God, is that a penalty to Bayern Munich? Please, for the love of God, say it is. We'll stay live until we see this go in, because I'm 30 seconds.
Penalty.
That's cool.
Eric, what a run by Leroy Sané. Oh, you should see that turn and run.
Manuel Neuer just flicked the ball up and scissor kicked it out.
There you go, Harry Kane for the penalty.
Stonewall. Saliba took him down.
Oh, Jesus, yeah, that's such a penalty. Oh, my God. Saliba, best centre-back in the world, is he? My arse.
Yeah.
Oh, Stonewall.
That's such a penalty. I just seen it. He just stuck a leg out,
You want me to tell if he scored or not, or wait?
Tell me, to be honest, because I have a feeling Harry Kane's going to slot it.
Okay.
We'll wait and we'll see. Apologies, guys, if you're watching live with us at the moment. We're just about to all start laughing at Arsenal. That's such a penalty. My God. Saliba, better than Van Dijk. My arse. Van Dijk would have sat outside the box.
Well,
and red
This is
like
a
a man.
surprise. I
There's a
didn't
reason. There's a reason Konate starts for France over Saliba.
And that's you've just seen the reason.
expect-
There we go. It's been ruined. It's been ruined. There we go. It's been ruined. Hellier's ahead of even you, Paul.
2-1.
Don't tell me which direction it went.
Make a guess.
I've picked a good few penalties so far this season. I want to see if I get this one right. So I'm going to see if I pick which one. I think he's going to go. I'll wait till he's just about to pick it.
You're full time at this rate.
I know, yeah. I'll pick which way he's going to go. I just want to look at it. Hold on. David Raya looks like he's shitting a brick.
You're 5 minutes behind, man. Where are you?
I guess.
Big one now.
He's only taking a step back now.
Pretty half
He's
time,
going to
no?
slot it. He's going to slot it the bottom right, keeper's bottom left. Oh, I'm just a genius. I fucking picked it as well. I love it. Guys, we are going to leave it there and we're going to go laugh at Arsenal for the rest of the night because it's absolutely beautiful. And we're going to go laugh at Manchester City because this is just Champions League pedigree is what it is.
This is a Jorginho type penalty. Remember Jorginho? Who used to hop, skip, and a jump?
Exactly.
That's
It
what it
looked
was.
exactly like that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hilarious when Harry Kane goes and scores the penalty too. Beautiful.
Hello.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Great stream, guys.
It's a great stream. We love it. Jen, thank you so much for the £2.99. It's very much appreciated. Always, as always, great contributor to the channel. We really do appreciate it. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Have your notifications on for all future streams and videos. And just make sure that you never miss out. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please go watch Arsenal and Man City get pumped by bigger European teams. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.